Hey everyone, welcome back again. We are going to now say some characteristics of database approach. So, when we are going to represent our data using database, we want to maintain some characteristics. So, one of them is the database should be self describing. Okay, when a DBMS catalog, a database catalog means a DBMS catalog means the description of the data. So the data description of the data should be self-describing, and looking at the database, it should give us the idea what is this database about. For example, when we look at the university database, it should be very clear. This is a university database, and this is a list of students. This is a list of course, like that. And the database should have the insulation between programs and data. It also known as program data independence. And as we said that in database, a database has a stores the list of data and also database contents the program and application by which we access the DBMS software, and the DBMS software use the data. Now uh, we want to keep the database system the database system keeps the program and the data independent. All right, so it allows the data structure and data storage organization without having to change the DBMS access programs. So each of the data has some metadata in the simplified database catalog. So metadata means actually the data about the data. Okay, so for example, when we saw the database, when we saw a sample database of university database, so what is the backend information of each of the records? For example, like student was the list of students, but what is the information of student table or relation? So the relation name was student and number of column was 4. So these are the information known as metadata, means the data about the data. All right, and the database will store this information, but this record will not be actually seen by the user. Okay, these are only being stored by the database so that database can use them for their convenience. Okay, so the insulation between program and data, also known as data abstraction. So the data abstraction means the data model will be used to hide the storage details and present the users with the only the conceptual view of the database. All right, the program refers to the data model constructs rather than the data storage detail. So how the data will be originally stored, it will not be actually seen by the users. The original data model will be hidden from the users. Alright, this is known as data abstraction. Also, the database will support the multiple views of the data, because you can think about that one database will be used by the multiple users, and there could be different type of users, and each different type of users can have different type of authorization. For example, when we use the canvas, the same canvas has actually a student view and instructor view, and the view is different. Okay, so this will be also the purpose of the database and the database application, so that different type of user can have different type of view of the data. Database also give us a way for concurrent access. So as we said that the same database will be used by multiple users. So multiple users can concurrently access the database. And when a multiple user will concurrently access the database, it's very important that the database system should maintain the consistency. Okay, so the concurrency control will within the database will guarantee that each transaction will be correctly executed or aborted. All right, and the recovery subsystem will ensure each completed transaction will have its permanently effect on the database. There is also another system known as OLTP, known as online transaction processing, which is a major part of database application that will allow hundreds of concurrent transactions to execute per second. So let's see different type of database users. So the user who use the database, that can be divided into actually two major different type of user. So one type of user who can actually just use and control the database content, and those who design, develop and maintain the database application. They are known as like actors on the scene. So they will be actually responsible to create the database content. They will design and develop the database application. All right. So there are another type of user who design and develop the DBMS software and related tools and computer system operators. They are known as workers behind the scene. So the from the actors on the scene, we can have end user, casual end user or naive user. End user means like the front end user, so who will use the database for query, report, updating the database content. All right. So from the end user can be also divided into casual end user and naive user. The casual end user means they will access the database occasionally when needed. For example, say we use a Canvas data or UCD Access database whenever we need this database. The largest section of end user population, they are known as actually naive user or parametric user, means they use a previously implemented and tested program. For example, like bank teller or hotel reservation clerk. So they there is a already implemented database, but they use this system to use the program. For example, enroll a new user in the bank or reserve a hotel or car reservation, car rental data. So there are also another type of end user known as sophisticated end user or standalone user. Sophisticated user means they are going to use for business analysis or as a scientist engineer who is familiar with the system capabilities. So they can use many tools and there are already many tools in the software package so that they can use them with the stored database. Standalone end users are mostly like maintain a personal database. All right. So some example could be like tax program user who will create their own internal database. Also, like another example, that they created a personal database which will maintain the address book. From the actors in the scene, we can see the actors in the scene means who are actually database administrator, who actually build some database tool or database management software. They can be divided into like database administrator or database designer. Database administrator are responsible for authorizing, controlling access to the database, coordinating and monitoring its use, and acquiring software hardware resources and monitoring the efficiency. The database designers are responsible for defining the database structure, constraint, and transaction, and communicating with users and understanding their needs.